Hello, this is Worldwide Geography, a channel all about geography. Is the United States the richest country in the world in today's video? We're going to find out. This is always a popular subject on this channel. People leave a lot of comments when we start talking about countries' GDP, and for some reason, there are a few different ways to determine which countries are the richest. One of the ways we rank a country's wealth is by its GDP, or gross domestic product. What is gross domestic product? It is a monetary measure of a market's value in all of its final goods and services produced and sold in a specific time period by a country. It's like the definition in a nutshell. How much stuff are you making, selling, and shipping are what it breaks down to. Now, I just broad brushed that, and there is a ton that goes into this. There are plenty of documentaries on it. I do 10-minute videos. This list is based on the current US dollars, according to information from the World Bank. So we're going to rank them by their GDP, and we'll look at what their major industries are. Let's take a look. Number 10, South Korea. South Korea is on the Korean Peninsula, sandwiched between the Sea of Japan, the Yellow Sea, and the East China Sea. It has a population of 51 million residents, almost 52. It's actually 51.74 million. That's back in 2022, according to the World Bank. They turn out a lot of electronics here. That's where a good portion of their GDP comes from. South Korea's largest industries are electronics, automobiles, telecommunication, shipbuilding, chemicals, and steel. I'm surprised K-pop isn't on there. That's probably a reference lost on a lot of you. You know how we have boy bands here in the US, like NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, and all those guys. They got them over there in South Korea too. It's called K-pop. South Korea's GDP is $1.79 trillion. Number 9, Canada. The Great White North comes in at number 9 with a pretty good showing. Now you might think that they should be a little higher on this list because it's a big country. You'd think they have a lot more industries. Really, it's a big country with a lot of wide open spaces. I mean, Los Angeles has more people than all of Canada. If you've ever been out to Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa, and you think those places are sparsely populated, you'll go to Canada, you'll have your mind blown. They really only have a handful of big cities: Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Regina, Winnipeg, Regina, of course, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec City, and Hamilton. Most of Canada is small towns, little villages, and forested areas. So yeah, their GDP doesn't kind of line up with the typical country their size. Canada's largest industries are real estate, mining, and manufacturing. Canada is also home to some of the largest mining companies in the world. Canada's annual GDP is $2 trillion. Number 8, Italy. This one sort of surprised me. Then, when I sat down and started thinking about it, it made sense. There are a lot of things that come out of Italy. I mean, a lot of different things. And they tend to be very expensive. They're also really big in pharmaceuticals, which I don't think a lot of people realize. Italy has a population of just over 59 million residents. And like I'd said, fashion, food, automotive parts and automobiles, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, and machinery, along with tourism. Tourism is a big part of Italy's economy. Italy's annual GDP is $2.1 trillion. Number 7 is France. France has a population of 67.7 million residents. And they've got their hands in a lot of different things. Transportation, agriculture. Tourism is one of the biggest things for them. And they're also really big in energy production. But this is one of them. I guess Italy does the same thing, but tourism is really big for both of these countries. It's almost like their main thing. And the annual GDP of France is $2.9 trillion. Number 6, India. You know, there's this thing about India that's always bugged me because they have some really horrible slums and horrible poverty. But the countryside, when you get away from the cities, it's beautiful. Sure, you got to worry about being eaten by a tiger. But everything's got its danger, right? India has a lot of ways of making money. They're in paper products, petrochemical, automobiles, information technology, banking, and insurance, and pretending to be IRS agents so you can ladies out of money. India has a population of 1.4 billion people, and they have an annual GDP of $3.2 trillion. Number 5. The United Kingdom. Most of its agriculture and construction, they do have manufacturing, and a lot of production, tourism, and shipping. They're also really big in insurance, investment, and banking type things. The United Kingdom has 67.33 million residents, and their annual GDP is $3.2 trillion. Number 4, Germany. Now, here's a fun fact about this whole thing. If we included states, this is where California would go. Depends on the year. But in recent years, they've almost overtaken Germany. So I guess they would have been Germany at 4 and California at number 5. I did read one article that said they overtook them, and then I was looking at the numbers, and they're almost overtaking them. I think things took a step backward because of the pandemic. But I do think California will overtake Germany by the end of 2023. We all know Germany has some insane industries: machine building, automobiles, electrical engineering, electronics, chemical and food processing. These are their main industries. I'm shocked beer isn't somewhere in there. Germany has a population of 83.2 million residents, and their annual GDP is $4.2 trillion. Number 3, Japan. The manufacturing of cars and car parts is one of the largest industries in Japan. Japan has a highly developed economy. The country has the second most developed economy in the world. That's not the largest. That's the second most developed. There's a difference. Automobile manufacturing is going to be the biggest part of Japan's economy, with companies like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Suzuki, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Subaru Isuzu. They also have Kawasaki and Yamaha. There's still other ones I didn't name. Japan has a population of 125.7 million residents, and they have an annual GDP of $4.9 trillion. Now, coming up next are the big ones. Number 2, China. China is a powerhouse when it comes to its economy and its GDP. It's insane how many people they got working over there. How many different industries and companies. When you look at what they do things in the service sector of manufacturing, agriculture, e-commerce, and technology. They make things like cell phones and tablets, which falls under manufacturing too. They make semiconductors. But since the pandemic and we had a bunch of shortages, the US has started to make their own semiconductors. Instead of sending it over there, they've just run into problems. So it's changing. Will it change enough to make a difference? Maybe. Are we just cutting China out of the equation and doing it ourselves? No. But China has a population of 1.412 billion residents. They got a lot of people. And that's after they started telling people to quit having so many kids back in, like, the 1980s. The thing with China is they have so many loopholes with how people get paid over there, and they don't get paid much at all. Granted, their economy is a little bit different than ours, but these people don't get paid that much. So it's, in a lot of cases, better to do your manufacturing over there. And China has the people to supply those manufacturing jobs. But like I said, they got 1.4 billion residents, and their annual GDP is $17.7 trillion. That's a lot of trillions. And number 1, the United States of America. They're in every single industry, and they learned a lot from World War II. I've read a few books on the economy of World War II. Now, the interesting fact, we basically outspent and outbuilt Germany and Japan, mostly Germany. There was a neat quote from a Panzer general for the German army. Panzer was one of their main battle tanks, and for the time, this thing was amazing. This German general said, a Panzer tank can take on any 3 American tanks. The problem is, they always had 4. So even before World War II, the United States manufacturing in different industries like mining, obviously. Oil played a big part in the development of the United States and got US to where they are today. This is a subject that could take a freaking novel. The United States has a lot of things that would be considered major industries: car and automobiles, insurance, oil and gas exploration, commercial banks, engineering services, weapons systems, healthcare, and construction. The United States has a population of 332 million residents and an annual GDP of $22.9 trillion, and California is responsible for around 1/5 of that. Alright, that's all for this video on worldwide geography. If you're interested in this topic, please comment and share your views. If you like our channel, please subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video. Bye.